the Opelka Studios in Oklahoma City, you're watching The Press Row. I'm Jenny Carlson and he's Barry Trammell. We're brought to you by Papa John's Pizza. You can go to papajohns.com right now and buy your pizza. All right, let's do Inbox Bear. We've got some email questions that we're going to answer here on video. Let's get started with Mary Helen. She says, I wish there were some way we could be allowed to enjoy at least part of the performances by excellent marching bands that go unmentioned and unnoticed by the networks and subject us to the comments of the armchair quarterbacks about every game in the country.
Well, Mary Ellen, you are from a different time. Jackie O, you don't remember it, but they actually did used to show bands at halftime. They not in your lifetime, but when I was a kid, you could actually watch the bands at halftime. Listen, Mary, we're lucky they let the bands even go on the field anymore at halftime, so the networks aren't going back. We're not going to see bands at halftime. Your best bet is somebody, one of these alternative ESPN channels, just gives you the, some sort of band channel where you get to watch what's going on the field at halftime, one of those multi-screen deals. But no, the age of the armchair quarterback is definitely here to stay.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, if you want to see marching band performances, I don't know if you're computer savvy or not, Mary Helen, but YouTube is the way to go. We were actually sitting in the press box last week at Oklahoma State at halftime and started talking about a performance by the Wisconsin band. They did a tribute to Michael Jackson, where they did a formation that basically it was Michael Jackson moonwalking. All these people in formation making Michael Jackson moonwalk. We saw it on YouTube. It was awesome. If you want to see marching bands, I say go to YouTube because we're not getting them on TV, unfortunately. All right, back to the inbox. This one's from Kevin. Kevin says, is Steven Adams for real? Big men are supposed to be slow to develop. I think he'll be starting by the All-Star game. Maybe I'm a homer, but I'm on his bandwagon now.
Well, I'm on his bandwagon too, and frankly, last week after he goes for 17-10 on Detroit, if somebody said, is he going to be starting by the All-Star game, I was ready to say he's going to be starting in the All-Star game. But we saw on Wednesday night, Steven Adams still has a long way to go. Very solid offensively, has no clue on the pick and roll, really gets butchered up by Chris Paul and the gang last night. And the other thing is his rebounding, while he's very active, gets his hands on a lot of his balls, he also didn't keep the Clippers off the boards. So I think he's going to be a very good player for a long time. I think he's the center of the future. In some ways, he's the center of the present. However, the Thunder still needs Kendrick Perkins. We saw that against the Clippers.
And I think the thing to remember, too, about Steven Adams is as he comes into this season, obviously he started in Kendrick Perkins' place against the Clippers because of a family death in the Perkins family. But those earlier games, and once Perk returns, we assume games sort of moving forward, Steven Adams is playing a vast majority of those games against the second unit, the second team of the other team. When you put him in the starting lineup, he's suddenly playing against the best on the other team. So if you want to move him into that spot, I think right away the challenge is going to be raised. The bar is going to be higher on what he's going to have to do. Now, I think eventually he's going to get to the point where he will excel in those situations. But right now, for his development, probably best to keep him with that second unit, let him develop a little bit, let him get a little more confidence, and then move him into the starting lineup. I don't know when that's coming. I think it's probably coming at some point later this year, but
you would think so.
I would think so too. All right, back to the inbox. This one comes from Sydney. She says, why has Bob Stoops become larger than the university? He is killing the Sooners football program. This is a refrain we're hearing from a lot of people suddenly.
Can we all settle down a little bit? Killing the Sooners football program? The Sooners, I realize they've completely driven off the cliff and they're only 7-2. Yes, it's a disappointing year. Yes, they got steamrolled by Texas and Baylor. But for crying out loud, Oklahoma football is still in good shape. Oklahoma football is still on solid ground. They just need to upgrade the talent, maybe need to freshen up the coaching, but Oklahoma football is in solid shape. Bob Stoops, they've got just these last 2 years that have drawn so much angst from people. OU has the best record in the Big 12 Conference over those 2 years. So we need to settle down, do some tinkering, Bob Stoops, but Bob Stoops is not killing Oklahoma football.
No, not by a long shot. Yeah, this is a like I said, a common refrain of late, but it's one that's misguided because if you look around at other programs, proud programs, top-notch programs, and look at their downturns, this downturn doesn't look so bad. It wasn't so long ago that Alabama was playing Oklahoma State in the Independence Bowl. So Oklahoma, have you gone to the Independence Bowl lately? No, not since 1999. So I don't necessarily think that this downturn is as bad as Oklahoma fans want to believe. Now, it doesn't look great. It's not, when you look at the future, it doesn't look like things are getting remarkably better in the future. But to say that Oklahoma football is suddenly dying, I mean, to me, that's just ridiculous. All right, back to the inbox one more time. This one comes from Larry. Larry says, give Kendall Thompson a shot at it. He can't get much worse. Well, there's another common refrain we've been hearing, Barry.
Yeah, it used to be the most popular man on campus was the second-team quarterback. But when you give the job to the second-team quarterback and he's not much better, then the most popular guy on campus is the third-team quarterback, and that's what we see with Kendall Thompson. Actually, it can get much worse. Sooners could be 4-5 instead of 7-2. They can lose to Kansas State and Oklahoma State, finish 8-4, lose a bowl game, go 8-5. So it can get a lot worse. I don't know what kind of ball player Kendall Thompson is, but I can tell you this: the coaches don't think he's as good as Trevor Knight or Blake Bell. If they did, he would be playing. Maybe they're wrong, but they know better than us. So, I'd like to see it just for curiosity's sake. But there is no reason to believe that Kendall Thompson would be an improvement over Blake Bell.
Yeah, I mean, if he was a first-year guy and they were looking to redshirt him, then maybe this argument holds up a little bit more. But he's not. He loses this year of eligibility, whether he plays a snap or 100 snaps or the rest of the game. So, to me, the issue here is he as good as who they have right now? And if he was, I think the coaches would play him. They're in the business of winning games, and if they felt like Kendall Thompson or any player on the roster gave him a better chance to win ball games right now, they'd be playing him. To me, it's easy. He's not playing because they don't think he's as good as these other guys. So that's where we are. Sorry, Sooner fans. Hey, be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoma.